If you work in a prison, you probably shouldn't smoke weed right before your shift. Also, if they ask you if you smoked weed right before your shift, you probably shouldn't say yes. Welcome to Jailhouse Law. There's a recent case that is out. It's actually an ongoing situation because there is a young lady who was a medical assistant at Fulton County Jail in Georgia. She apparently smoked some weed before going to work, showed up to work at Fulton County Jail, where she's actually a contractor, and the captain, because the staff, they said specifically that they search the contractors coming in. I know in several institutions, like in the feds, all staff comes in, has to go through some kind of security search. But as a contractor, it appears that she's under a bit more scrutiny. The captain asked her, "You smell like weed. Why do you smell like weed?" At that point, she, for some reason, decides to tell the captain, "Yes, I smoked weed right before coming to work." She then leaves. As they're searching her bag, she leaves. So she doesn't leave because, "Oh man, I screwed up. I told them I was smoking weed." She then leaves because they're searching her bag. You see, what they found in her bag is the real issue. Because even though she may have lost her job behind smoking weed right before a shift, what was in her bag is actually the reason why she's on the run now and why she's actually looking at felony charges. What did they find in her bag? They found 200 loose cigarettes, some loose tobacco. And let me tell you about the cigarettes. You may say, what's the problem with cigarettes? Well, in prisons all over the country, they started banning cigarettes and tobacco products. I remember when I was in the feds and they banned it. The first thing I did, I was about to say first thing we did, I'm going to say the first thing I did when they announced that the ban was incoming was buy cigarettes. Let me let you know, I don't smoke. But as soon as they said that a ban was coming, I said, it's time for me to stock up on cigarettes. Because once cigarettes became contraband, I knew they were going to go for a very good price. Guess what? Staff knows that as well. Because it got to a point where cigarettes were going for about $20 per cigarette. So yeah, if you're selling a pack of cigarettes, you can easily get $200. But cigarettes, since they've been outlawed from various prisons, have gone extremely up in value. It's not that they're not being used anymore. It's just that now they're that much more valuable. So the 200 cigarettes, you see, have a great amount of value considering that cigarettes are not allowed inside the prison, inside the jail. But there's more. She also had weed. She had about 6.8 ounces of weed in the bag. That's a problem because in addition to now being charged with attempting to smuggle contraband in, you now have a drug that you could be charged not just coming into the jail with, but just for possessing. But it gets worse than that. She had 20 grams of crack. 20 grams of crack. There was a time when the feds, where 5 grams of crack could get you an automatic mandatory minimum of 5 years. Now, the 100-to-1 ratio has been significantly lowered. It's just an 18-to-1 ratio. However, you're still looking at significant charges in the federal system if the feds decide to pick up the case. If Georgia takes care of it, she's still looking at felony charges, and it's not looking good for her. What gets me is, why would you smoke weed before going to work, knowing you had all of that contraband on you? If you knew you had that much contraband on you, don't do anything that's going to draw more attention to you. But there's a couple of possibilities I'm looking at. Maybe she didn't actually smoke weed and she just didn't wrap the weed that she had in her bag well enough, and that's what they were smelling. So she says, "Oh, yes, I was smoking it," to try to divert away from them actually looking in her bag. It's still not a good idea. But more has come out to the story, and it turns out that they've actually listened to recordings where she was discussing how to get the contraband into the prison. That makes me think that they may have known she was coming into the prison with the contraband before she actually got there. Which means either she did something incredibly stupid by speaking with inmates, whoever she's bringing it in for, over the phone, because as an inmate, your calls are recorded. So if you're talking about contraband, you definitely shouldn't be doing it over the jail's phones. Of course, the more people involved in a particular scheme, the greater the opportunity for somebody to be snitching. Somebody could have just sold her out, and now she's in a world of trouble. There is more to the story, though. See, Fulton County Jail, as I thought about it, I said, wait, Fulton County, Georgia, isn't that where the YSL case is? Young Thug, Gunner, and them? Turns out that Young Thug is being held at Cobb County Correctional Facility, the Cobb County Jail, and Gunner is being held at Fulton County Jail. Now, they've suggested, based on the information that's already come out, that she may have been doing this before. So I'm not suggesting this has anything to do with Gunner, but you got to realize with somebody that's as high profile as Gunner in the jail, scrutiny is probably going to be at a higher level. Talking on the jail phones about bringing in the contraband is another thing you definitely shouldn't be doing. Of course, I'm not advocating for any of this to be done because I'm not advocating for people to be engaged in criminal activity. But for the people that have engaged in criminal activity, that's definitely not the way to do it. That's for the people that have chosen to engage in such criminal activity. There are many things that have been done incorrectly, foolishly, that has now led to her being in very serious trouble. She's on the run. I don't know how far she intends to run, where she intends to run, how far and how long she intends to escape the authorities, but she's already lost her job, and it looks very likely that she may lose her freedom. But like I said, there's still going to be the issue of who she was bringing in the drugs for. Thank you for checking out this episode of Jailhouse Law. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Let me know if you like this content and what you want to see me cover in the future. Let's get to work.